The Japanese were, well, they were meaner than we were. We had to learn to be mean.
They had a lot of contempt for the enemy.
Worse than that.
And especially if an enemy surrendered.
Yes. And so consequently, you didn't really look at them like they were human, or I didn't. And like I said, I could shoot one as easy as I could pick that up and think no more about it. I didn't think anything at all about them having a father or mother, brother or sister. I never even thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
And and when the war was over, I took a lot of casualties on Iwo, and we were right then loading ship to go on maneuvers to invade Japan. And we knew what was coming. We'd got replacements in. There was 2 out of 3 that was on Iwo either got killed or wounded of the original division. So we wasn't really looking very forward to landing in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And when the war was over, we really celebrated. And I figured we were already loading ship. We had, everybody from our company had loaded ship, but 12 of us. And we was to load ship the next morning when the war was over. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, and about 8 o'clock, they said the war's over, said free beer to slop shoot. So boy, that's where we all headed. And I thought, well, we won't be loading ship in the morning, and with the war over. But anyway, they roused to the south, and the Jeep I was driving, this radio Jeep, was all stripped down for landing in surf water. No windshield, no top, no muffler, straight pipe. And so they got us up at 2 o'clock, and we started across the mountain from one side of Wheez to the other. It's about 100 miles. And we went right across where the volcano was, a lot of volcanic rock.
Mm-hmm.
Cinder Road, all the way across it. Made about 20 miles an hour. It was raining and cold. I was never so glad to see a ship. But it was a tough journey across.
Yeah.
But anyway, we got to Japan and unloaded. I landed with the captain that was our company commander. We had a .30 caliber machine gun mounted on the radio Jeep, and he was sitting there in that seat. I was driving and radio man, and we landed with live ammo in case we had any problem. Nobody knew exactly what the Japs would do, but we had no problem. And so then we got to Nagasaki, and you didn't think a whole lot about, the atomic bomb is, everything was just obliterated. You didn't think much about it. And we started going out on patrols, and I began to see some of the Japanese people. They were starving to death. We had an interpreter whose dad and mom had been killed by the atomic bomb. And we were eating rations one day, and this interpreter, we had K rations or C rations. They had a little biscuit about that big around, just hard as a rock, that you'd eat. And we always just threw them away. We didn't eat them. And we threw them out, and this interpreter was picking them up. I said, "What are you doing?" And I was the sergeant in charge of it. He thought he was in trouble, and he said, "I'm picking them up." He said, "We don't have enough to eat at all." And I said, "You don't have enough to eat?" And he said, "No." He said, "My sisters were hungry." And I said, "You have sisters?" And he said, "Yeah, 2. And that's when he told me his dad and mom had been killed by the atomic bomb. And I'm not sure that a brother or sister was killed, but I don't recall that well. And I said, "Well, I'll tell you what I'll do." I said, "If they're hungry," and I'd seen some of the little kids that come to our garbage and would get stuff out of the garbage to eat. I said, I'll draw rations for them, and you take it home to your sisters. And I began to look at the Japanese people a little different. And they're no different than we are. You know, they love their kids the same as we do. And the people that run the war from Japan, they're the guys that was causing the problem, not the people.
Sure. So you trained for a year and a half for Iwo Jima?
Yeah.
Where were you, where was that at?
We trained for basically 2 years. I went to school in San Diego. I went to radio school, and then I went to a radio maintenance school. Before we could graduate from that, we had to be able to build a radio. And and just as a kid out of high school, I was used to studying. There was the class was 40 people. We had 2 professors that had designed one of the Marine Corps radios. And so consequently, they really threw it at us hard. But anyway, we had to graduate. We had to be able to make a radio, and which we were able to do. And I was in that basically for not quite a year. And then I went into a combat outfit. And when you're in a combat outfit, that's when you begin to get to the hard knocks.
Where'd you go to boot camp?
Dago. We went right next to Consolidated Aircraft Company, and they're the ones that built the B-29. And we were right next to it in boot camp, and one of them crashed coming over. He didn't get there was a fence between us and Consolidated. He didn't get his wheels that caught that fence. Crashed in boot camp. You never heard nothing about it. Went through a mess hall with people in it. Now they just throw a fit. While I was in boot camp, and I was in boot camp 13 weeks, I seen 8 aircrafts crash. Seen 2 fighters practicing fighting run together. We were on the parade ground, and one of them, a wing showed off, and that wing was coming down like a popper.
Yeah.
It didn't make any difference where you went. You thought it was coming to you. Scared to death.
What was the name? What division were you in?
5th.
5th. What was the name of the Medal of Honor winner, John?
Bassalon.
Bassalon. You didn't happen to know John Bassalon, did you?
Yes.
Probably knew of him, but had you?
No, I seen him.
Did you?
He was in our outfit.
Is that right?
Yes, he was in the 5th Division.
I thought he was. Do you know who that is, Grant? He was quite the guy. After Guadalcanal, he had won the Congressional Medal of Honor, and they brought him back to the States to sell war bonds.
Yes.
And basically on a PR tour. And so he became very widely known in the United States. Any place he would go, he was front page news. But he was a fighting man and wanted to get back in the fight, and ended up going back into a combat unit with the 5th Marine Division, and was killed the first day in Iwo Jima.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fact is, I've got a book, that my grandson's got it now. I've got a book that a guy that was in his outfit wrote. And I knew him, and he signed the book and the whole thing. But he said that they were advancing, the 28th Marines was supposed to advance across the island and cut Suribachi off from the rest of the island. And so that was basically what he was in, 28th Marines. And he had his machine gun platoon basically right at the airport number 1. And they was about to run out of ammo, and he was going back to get some more ammo and some more troops out to where they were at, because they was out by themselves. And he got hit by a mortar as he was going back.